industry. From our keynote before, we've learned that law is only tip of the iceberg. What really is required to be successful in the industry, how do you become future ready, is something we're going to learn from the professionals themselves. So let me begin with Dr. Krishnaswamy. Dr. Krishnaswamy, I hope I'm audible. Sorry, could we do a mic check with you? Can you hear me now? Yes, yes. Warm welcome, Dr. Krishnaswamy. Let me begin with the very, question, that very significant question. What are the most significant opportunities and challenges facing the legal education system today? And then, can we crystal gaze 5 years from now and understand what will legal education look like 5 years from now?
Good morning to my fellow panelists as well as the audience who are sparing us valuable Sunday morning and in the room, to the business world, and for the invitation and pulling this Future of Legal Education Summit together. So I think that it's an honor to follow Justice Meeta, because I heard him emphasize what were to me evergreen classic orientations and skills that we would emphasize in lawyering and legal education. Nothing newfangled or necessarily contrived in the last 5 years. And I suspect that the purpose of this panel is to broaden to focus the conversation a little bit more in assessing some of these opportunities and challenges, and also looking ahead. So let me go at this prompt in a few ways, and I'll try to take just 5 minutes. So I think the optimistic part, and I didn't get a sense, and I haven't had the opportunity to discuss this with Justice Meeta, whether he thought that legal education was getting better or getting worse. And my perspective on this is unambiguous. I think legal education is not just going through a growth spurt. We're seeing newer universities and newer colleges in the space, but we also have more talented students and a better infrastructure in legal education than we've ever had historically in this country. And my view on that is that all for the good. There is a new generation of young people coming into the profession. They will transform this profession from really low points of the 50s to the 80s. And so I think that in that broad sense, my assessment is that there are very significant opportunities ahead for the students in the room and for all of us who are engaging and educating them on a daily basis. What are the other opportunities? I guess we've been hearing from the Bar Council for some time now that they intend to globalize access to the legal profession. Those of us who follow this kind of regulatory news carefully, we would have noticed last week that there was another announcement that we might open up to UK lawyering, maybe through the FTA. It wasn't very clear from the announcement exactly how this would happen. But this is very significant because I think that Indian lawyers will have the opportunity to develop cross-jurisdictional practices, and this is a very significant opportunity in the near future. What are our challenges? And I'll emphasize a few and close and back to you, Ashima. Justice Meeta already spoke about teachers, and do we have quality young teachers entering legal academia? Here, my concern is not so much that young talented people are not interested in joining; they're interested in joining, and if we open the doors to that kind of talent, we would all do well. The challenge is that we don't have a good canonical set of materials that we teach. We don't have a strong textbook, casebook tradition. So young teachers are going into the classroom with very little scaffolding. And then what we are getting across the various law schools is a highly variable quality of delivery. And I think that all of us who are in legal education do very well to invest collectively in developing this canonical set of materials. We can vary pedagogy, but if we put really strong materials into the classroom, we can assure quality in a way that has simply not happened across the last 70 years. And so I think that's a core challenge, and if we grasp that challenge, we will do very well in legal education. There are two other things that we might have done a little bit of, but maybe need to do more of in the years to come. The first is the experiential learning bit. I think most law schools have struggled with this. I mean, we all do the mandatory courses, we call them clinics or some such thing, but we're not very good at parsing the three main types of experiential learning: simulation-based courses, clinical courses, and a clinical course is a clinical course only if you're doing live cases. And so all the there's a rather elaborate sort of pretense about doing clinics with no live cases in the classroom, and I think that whatever else we do, we should not call them clinic, we call them something else. And the third part is to do a very rigorous model of externships and internships into the curriculum. This too exists, but we need to do this better and more strongly. So this, I think, is a core challenge. Apart from the core canonical materials, we've got to get this experiential learning part of any professional school has to be very strong at experiential learning. And we've done this less well than we should have over the years. The last point that I'll make and hand back to you is about the place of technology. Now, I know that a lot of noise is made, and we have kind of distinguished between the hype and what might be real and meaningful. But let me just say that even for many of your panelists, I think have gone through at least 4 types of changes so far. Most of us started our legal education with the strong paper databases model, the reporters, and very quickly we've adapted to electronic databases. We've also adapted to the internet. And reasonably well, I think Indian law schools have taken to these technologies reasonably well. And I think we're at the cusp of a sort of AI-driven reset on the place of technology in law. And it's very important that we get this transition right. Also because it promises to be bigger than electronic databases and the internet put together. It can be particularly disruptive to legal education and to the legal profession. So my sense is 3 challenges. We need to rework the technology question. We need to get experiential learning gridded right, and we will need to reinvent the legal canon in a very substantive way. I think these are our 3 core challenges, because with the new energy and sort of different kind of political economy developing around legal education, I think the general sense of direction is very positive. Back to you, Ashima.
Thank you, Dr. Krishnaswamy. What I hear from you is that there is quite a need for reorientation of our system to the AI that's on the horizon. Dr. Abhishek Sinha, you've joined us. Thank you. I thought you were away from the panel. So a warm welcome, and I can pose the same question to you as well. Do you feel that the evaluation system in today's time requires a relook? Also, taking from what Justice Midda said, that putting someone through the grill of a moot court, or laws or problems that do not exist, fictitious problems, that's what we're assessing students on. To your mind, what needs to change to really evaluate a student who is future ready?
That's a very relevant question, and it's not just an issue of whether the way of evaluation needs to change. I'll take a step back and talk about the entire way of imparting legal education needs to change, right from the curriculum, the way we are teaching law in the classroom, and even outside the classroom. Barring few colleges in India, the pedagogy is more about theory. And what Dr. Sudhir also highlighted when we talk about experiential learning, clinical legal education, participatory learning, if you look at the curriculum which has been prescribed by, the governing body or regulator, whatever you want to call it, there are a handful of subjects which are set out. Even if you look at moot court or internship as a subject, we may turn a blind eye, but we exactly know what really happens in these internships. We may or may not talk about it.
So you have a bone to pick with the industry on that?
No, absolutely, because just to give you a quick flavor, before getting into academia, for good 18 years I was a partner with India's top 2 law firms, Khaitan and Company and Shadul Amarchand. So the idea is that when we talk about who are the relevant stakeholders when it comes to legal education, we'll say Bar Council of India, law schools or the universities, which includes the faculty members and the law students. The bigger question, more than evaluation, is where is the industry? Why is industry not a relevant stakeholder when it comes to legal education? I'll just quickly draw an analogy. Look at medicine as a profession. A college, imparting MBBS kind of a course, will not get the license or the approval to actually run that course unless and until a hospital is attached to that university or a college.
Right.
For legal education, there is no requirement of someone having practical experience, actually who has practiced law, that they must teach. Is there any such requirement? No requirement. The only requirement is, have you done your LLM? Though UGC has come up with this concept of professors of practice, several law schools have appointed. We have also appointed top managing partners, top partners, but we all know when it comes to classroom learning, for the entire semester when someone needs to explain that construct, they explain that course to the students, we need that kind of involvement in the classroom. And of course, we have moved, as far as the evaluation is concerned, we have moved quite forward. Right now, everything is on a continuous evaluation basis, and that's brilliant. But the real question is, and I'm talking about generally all the law schools in India, the real question is, what is the quality of those, question papers?
Yeah.
Are we meeting that standard? Will it make the students ready right after they graduate to actually go ahead and stand in a court of law and practice law? So that's my quick, response to that.
Thank you, Dr. Sinha. Let me take that question to Dr. Shastry. You represent the industry on the panel. Dr. Shastry, clearly there's thought on with some of our panelists that in the industry intervention is missing. What do you have to say about that, and where can we bridge this gap?
Thanks, Ashima. I'll just take a cue from what Abhishek has said, and he has really pointed out a very important thing, that where is the participation in law schools of the industry or of the practitioners? Now, first of all, I also like to take a step back and try to understand that in modern world, what are the options available to a law graduate? What all you can do? Right, like what Mirtha said, he just argued about 2 points, that you can either be a judge or a lawyer, or you can be a legal academia. But that is not what all the legal education is catering to. You have a huge industry where is the huge, a scope for law graduates to go and join as in-house counsels, to be GCs, to be a legal journalist, to go and join as a legal tech partner, and so many options are available. So in modern worlds, it is no more the old mentality where you have to only go and become a lawyer. So first we have to change that mindset. I understand that BCI right now is not willing to have lawyers or that kind of facility like in MCI has, that you have to have a practicing lawyer attached to the office, then only you can impart legal education. This means like a national law school has to also give services to the legal industry. That facility is right now not there with BCI. But then they can partner with industries. They can definitely partner with various corporates, whereby corporates are more than ready and willing and helpful to come and join, first of all, as faculties, as a partner faculty, and second, to join these national law schools or top law schools, whereby we can give our work to them and we can take the expertise of the professors of those law schools, and then professors can make the students work on those problems. So that kind of partnership definitely can be there between the industry and the law colleges, which no one stops.
Right.
And industry is also is open to such kind of ideas. That is what I will just rest my thought. I know the time is very, very short.
I will take, I hope we can increase the timer by 5 minutes, please. I'll need more time to go around the panel. Dr. Shastry, one more, if you had to pick two important or essential skills for somebody coming to your team as an in-house counsel, what would that be?
So the skill sets are just as Middas said, obviously the fundamentals of law has to be strong, the communication. But more than that, it is the business acumen. The mindset has to be there, that you have to come and adapt. Because once you are in industry, you are no more just a lawyer. You have to understand what industry you are in, what are the basics of that industry, and then have to give your legal solutions accordingly. So that adaptability to the business side is the most important key, which is there. And second most important key, at least what I feel, is the technology. You have to be a technology savvy person. Because I feel the time has now come, that in 5 years, the entire legal industry is going to get disrupted. The AI is going to take over. All these basic mundane skills of drafting and researching is just going to go out of date. You have to be more intuitive, more strategic in your approach. So those are two important skill sets which I think so industry requires.
Thank you, Dr. Shastry. I hope our students are not disappointed to hear that. That they need to be absolutely disruptive in the way that they are going to build their own careers. And on that, I'm going to take the note of business acumen and the idea of fostering a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship in our students. I'll take this question to Kritika first. Kritika, how you've built a law firm of your own, and we've discussed how the industry expects these students to have business acumen. Now, how do you develop that? Do you have some suggestions for the institutes that can help you bring in some of these students to a firm like yours? That's one. And second, suppose they want to venture out into building a firm of their own from day one. What do you think can be done for that?
I think that's a very interesting question, Ashima. The answer is not very straightforward. If we talk about startups generally in the world, you have to know that 99% of them fail. They don't fail because they have a bad idea. They fail because of so many other reasons. One of the top reasons for failure is the failure to communicate with each other, leading to disputes either within the shareholders, with the vendors, or something like that. So learn how to communicate. I'm very afraid. We have spoken so much about technology and also about my interaction with the present generation. I'm afraid of the day when cross-examinations happen on WhatsApp. Or I'm afraid of the day when a lawyer
We already have a
told,
WhatsApp university, so we can have a WhatsApp courtroom now.
we already have that. Lovely. For example, when we are taking interns nowadays, we ask, okay, how many internships have you done? Of those internships, how many were actual full-time on-site?
Yeah.
And then we count only those. So you get the hint where I'm going. And so you need to learn how to communicate with actual human beings. Be persuasive, be able to express. And I keep telling people, if you need 2,000 words to explain something, you probably haven't understood what you're trying to explain. Can you do that in, say, 150 words per me? Right? So that's the kind of communication skill that we are really looking for. And the Brits are coming again. And when you enter the London airport, the first thing that you see is a hoarding. It's of someone, it's of a person who's saying, I love to swim in the lake when it's freezing minus sub-zero temperatures. It's their culture to be gritty, resilient. They can survive wherever you put them. They survived for 100 odd years in India, remember? And so we're looking for people who not just have basic skills of knowing how to read a statute, interpreting a statute, but also this personality skill of being resilient, being willing to have hustle. So startup is a hustle culture, remember guys? So having hustle, having grit, having resilience to be able to do that, because behind all these suits and these flashy watches and handbags are brilliant, brilliant minds. All those people you see at the top of this profession, they have amazing original minds, capable of their own analysis. And they're not going to be swept away by AI, because the AI absolutely cannot replicate the way they think.
Yeah, HI over AI. So
Yeah.
thank you, Kritika. I'll also bring in Pragya on the same question. What, in your experience, Pragya, is beyond a hustle, communication? What are the things that you need to make a place for yourself in the fraternity?
I think, Ashima, this begins at the law school. First and foremost, I feel it is very, very important to have academic freedom at the university. We need to have a free space where there is a minimal state intervention, and then only there will be a free flow of ideas. The line has to be a little blurry between the pre-existing notion of a teacher and a student. Only when you give that sort of comfort to the students and to the teacher, they are probably being their best self. They are more creative. It takes me back to my orientation day at University of Cambridge. The first thing that they told us on that day, other than the fact they said that, I know you all must be feeling that imposter syndrome, but we don't want you to, we know that, precedence is a source of law. But we don't want to manufacture students who follow the same path, or you are not able to replicate something new. There has to be some sort of semblance between creativity, critical thinking, and at the same time your soul should be absorbed, whatever you are producing. So law school right now, I feel, must have some sort of pedagogical acumen that is able to deal with contemporary legal issues. A couple of changes that I've seen over the period of years are quite applaud-worthy. This is a new thing that they've started with, that there is a assistant professor or an associate professor of practice or legal studies. For subjects like CPC, CRPC, pleading, drafting, conveyancing, somebody who's not gone to the court might probably not be in the best scenario or situation to tell the practical aspects of how it actually takes place, how things actually happen in the court. So I had a brief stint at OP Jindal University, and despite the fact that I had a specialization in international law, I chose a subject which people usually don't want to get their hands into, which was civil procedure court. Unfortunately, when I was studying at DU, I don't know how I even cleared the exam, because when now I look back, I can't even recall one single thing what I had learned in CPC. I ratta-maroed something and I puked it in the exam and got decent scores. That is what we have been doing. But when I started teaching at Jindal University, I was able to, I don't know how much justice I've done, but I tried to show them what actual wakalatnamas look like. What is a process fee? What is what is the process you serve a summon to the parties? What is a plaintiff? What is a respondent? What is joinder and non-joinder of parties? Small, small things. But unless you don't go to the court, you will never be able to understand. Now, there are a couple of things, couple of startups like this project and initiative by National Law University Delhi, Project 39A. It is doing wonderful. It has collaborated with people from the industry. It has collaborated with students, with professionals, people from the legal guild, and they are making the best use of research, and then they are converting it into petitions. We are getting practical, solid results in order to achieve legal equality and justice. At the same time, we had set up a trial advocacy society at OP Jindal University. So the students are far away from reality. Law is nothing but common sense. So it's not just about substantial law, but also a mix of substantial and procedural. And henceforth, I feel my expectation to somebody who comes to my office as a entrepreneur, as a person who has started up a litigation firm, is that you must have that soul. First of all, you should love the profession. You should have that niche or knack that you want to do litigation. Number one. Number two, it is not important that you are just fixated with how the technology is going to be for the next 5 years. Of course, it's a challenge. But at the same time, you must remember that it's about creativity. What new thing are you bringing to the platter? That's
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, Pragya. I'll take that point to Dr. Sudhir. Dr. Sudhir, can we have your quick thoughts on the gaps identified by the panel so far on, how students need to really come face to face with how courts function or the industry functions? Your 2 cents on how that can really be done or is being done.
So let me try to come at these questions with a slightly different angle. I mean, I know that the panelists have all gone through legal education in India. Many of them have studied outside, and the one thing that I think might be common across their various pathways is that we should not expect an undergraduate degree, a BA, LLB, or whatever combination of 5-year degree, or the 3-year LLB to somehow prepare somebody who is tailor-made for one of your offices. I mean, I've said this before, it's like an unpopular thing to say, that's not our job. Our job is closer to what Pragya closed with, which is, can we educate fundamentally strong, very creative, rigorous thinkers in the law? And that is the only insurance against a fast-changing field. Right? The content of what we teach our students is going to change. So Dr. Mukul has done work on competition law at the time when competition law was an emerging field. And like that, there will be other areas that will emerge, new modes of regulation, that our students have to be well placed to embrace and build on. And the way to do that is to focus on these core skills, right? These core ways of thinking, both theoretically, and I'm not going to disavow a theoretical understanding of law, that is fundamental to what the university is there for. So we would not, I think all of us would agree, you can't give up on it. So while I did mention that we should do a lot of experiential learning, I don't see that as a sort of a binary choice, which is that somehow we all have to pivot to teach all these skills, and then students should somehow now get jobs at a law firm, be highly productive on day one or something like that. I think that is a view sometimes taken of legal education or professional education. We must immerse our students in the professional field, and keep them. We get to actually learn the dispositions and the cultures of that. That's what they have to learn. They don't have to learn what it takes to be to fly off the shelf on day one. That's a sort of, at least to my mind, not the main priority in legal education. So I'll say one more thing that might be useful here, which is that to go back to the evaluation point that you raised early in the panel, I think this evaluation problem needs to be tackled, because the old universities, Pragya spoke about memorizing and producing answers to questions. I mean, what plagues the old university system is we know the questions beforehand because it's a subset of 20 or 25 questions. We also know the answers. And the answers are also dated because they're the answers that should have been written in 1985. because that answer is what will get you a very high mark in the whole university system. So we have a serious problem there. And the shift away from that kind of testing to a strongly hypothetical, problem-based scenario style testing is I think, a sharp revolution that all of us in our various institutions can sign up to. So we insist in our evaluation that we do this, because otherwise you're not going to get these sharp thinking creative lawyers at all. So I'm just mentioning two things that panel addressed that caught my attention, but back to you, Ashima, I know you have time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhir. I'll take that question now to Dr. Karuna. Dr. Karuna, we've heard the panel, is kind of divided on the two sides. One is that the institutes are nurturing the students to be critical thinkers. And we also have the industry that has certain amount of expectation that on day one, students should be industry ready for some aspects of the work that they're going to do. Now, as a educator, how do you build a dynamic course for your students? What is, in your experience, the best way that has worked to keep them industry ready?
It's a very relevant question because at the D.Y. Patil University School of Law, we have a specially designed curricula from semester 1 itself. We are introducing drafting, pleading, conveyancing skills from semester 1 itself till the 10th semester, specially designed as per the subjects which are introduced to the students. For example, Contract Act. So we are teaching them drafts of the Contract Act at the same semester. Also, we have connected the industry advisory board and the advisory board in the form of mentors to our students, so that at the time of understanding the theoretical aspects of the subject, a student is also understanding that what industry is expecting or what I have to give back when I become a lawyer, when I take a profession as a lawyer. Yeah. So it is very important for any law school to specially design a curriculum which will make a blend of theory as well as the industry exposure, which a student, like ultimately after becoming a lawyer, has to give back to the society.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Karuna. We'll wrap the session here. Thank you all for your insights, and we hope to be able to give back to the students some actionable points. Any quick question from the students that you'd like to ask our panel? I'll take one question only. Anyone? Sorry, I can't see. Please stand up for your question. Yeah. Thank you for the question. May I have your name again, please? Thanks, Adar.
Hi, Adar.
Dr. Shastry.
So, just since I raised that point, so there's nothing to fear. I'll give an astrological answer to this. Like earlier, to make our natal chart, there's a mathematical solution, like all these 12 houses, and you place the 9 grahas there actually. Now that itself was an art, and people used to do that manually. Now, today anybody can do that. If you know your place of birth, time of birth, date of birth, a computer can do that. So this is what the AI can do. It is fed on data. It can give you basic things. It can give you the basic drafting, the basic research. That can be done. Some basic things that AI can do because it has fed on data, and the data it can just reproduce. But the intuitive thinking, the strategy, where to use, how to interpret that kundali, and how to give answers to those things. Like in chess, that intuitiveness, that for an AI to take over, it will take some time from legal strategy perspective. So therefore, what my advice will be to young minds, that think about the intuitiveness and strategical aspect of law, and not merely know that, okay, for this is this section only has this as the ingredient, and there are 10 case laws for this section, more than how to apply that section in real life. And what will be the intuitiveness and strategic part of that. And likewise for any other thing. Like if you are doing an M&A deal, what are the intuitive aspects of it, rather than knowing only the contract law. So that is what will give you more edge in future. Obviously, AI or the legal technology is there. It is coming slowly and gradually, and legal tech is playing a big role. In industry, we are relying on legal tech for a lot of things, for a lot of data churning out, for data analysis. AI is being used, and it is going to get better and better in some time. But then that intuitive part and the static part, that cannot be taken over.
Thank you, Dr. Shastry. Pragya, you have one thing to add?
Athar, since you are in your law school, I would say you must really focus on the new criminal laws that starts from 1st of July. AI would be coming in a couple of years, but I'm sure to say that it is your cortical prowess, it is your ability to think out of the box that will always overpower a system or a computer designed whatever artificial intelligence is. So make sure that you're not heavily dependent upon technology so much so that you're able to, that you've stopped thinking. That's my only piece of advice.
Thank you, Pragya. Thank you all. And to her point, we also have a panel on criminal law reforms coming up right after this. I'm sure they'll throw more light on the subject. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Sudhir, for being online with us.
Thank you.